Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, come in, you're very, very welcome again. I trust you enjoyed my last video on Aussie band Australian Crawl, and through this song, Things Don't Seem, we looked at the assumptions that we make about how we think the way life works, and sometimes whether they're correct or not, because who challenges us on this stuff? This is the trick. Well, going from there to 1997, an ad was put in the paper by the guys behind the Spice Girls, and certainly we know how iconic those girls were. And they thought, what can we do with some blokes? And so in 1997, an ad went in the paper looking for some guys with attitude and edge. And certainly many guys actually auditioned for this group. But in the UK, Richard Breen, also known as Abslove, Richie Neville, Scott Robinson, Sean Colin and Jason J. Brown got together and formed the band 5. And so around that time, thanks to Simon Cowell, that BMG and RCA Records signed them for a 6-album record deal. Now that's pretty amazing. We didn't actually quite get to 6 albums, but they did certainly have some success. 1998, the album 5 came out. That's with the number 5 at the start. 1999, Invincible, the iconic album. 2001, King Size. It was around about that time that these guys kind of split up with, in internal stuff that was going on. These guys have never really got together completely since then. There's been some reunions with some of them, but not with all of them. And in 2022, apparently, the album Time is coming out. So that's 25 years that these guys have been around. If you don't think 1997 was a long time ago, 25 years. So there we go. Relatively successful too. These guys have sold 20 million albums worldwide, which is not bad for 3 albums, if you think about it. 4 compilation albums, 3 video albums, 14 music videos, and 22 singles. Now, we all know around the late 20th century, 5 and how significant they were. These guys just had the look, obviously had the fans just going after them, and just really hit the ground running with the exact formula these guys needed to be successful as they were. Now, I probably first met 5, and this is probably one of my favourite songs from the late 1990s, is this song, Keep On Moving. Came off the song Invincible from 1999. The thing I love about this song, and it is first of all the way it sounds and the way these guys are singing in this song, it's got a really upbeat tempo, really positive, and just really makes you feel good when you hear it. Now, in the past, I've talked about this concept of keeping on moving. I've talked about the fact that, when life goes bad for us and something happens, we think, oh man, really? What do I do now? And we kind of get stuck in this kind of moment of, yeah. And I sort of challenged at the time that we can never really discount life experience. It doesn't matter what's happened in our lives, it kind of is always sitting there in the background and niggling it away at us. And sometimes something will happen, and this thing that we thought we'd pushed under the surface just is triggered and rises to the surface. And we think, oh, I thought I'd moved on. I thought I kept on moving. But see, this is the issue with life experience though. We can't discount any of it. In fact, why would we want to? Because it's who we are. So our life experience what makes us human, makes us unique, makes us who we are. And the fact that you're still here means you're a survivor and have actually survived through those moments, and you've kept on moving to a certain extent. But you might be asking me at the moment, Trevor, well, you know what? I know you've said this stuff before, but how do we keep on moving and deal with this stuff that's going on at the same time? Well, all through our lives, there's this thing called loss. A loss is something that we once had, but we no longer do. And often there's a whole heap of emotions and all sorts of things tied up with us. And we're trying to work out how life can go without this thing that was once in our lives. Now, I've talked about a few times before that the thing that helps us get through that Now I'm going to challenge myself on those words, get through in a second. The things that helps us in these moments is this thing called grief. Now, grief does what grief needs to do. It probably knows us better than we do because it knows us in the situation we're in right now. It reacts with us, it interacts, it resonates with us, it puts it through all sorts of emotions. It does it in the timing that we need it to be. And eventually we kind of learn that our life experience has changed forever because we've kind of now got this thing as part of it. Now, you might be saying, well, that's all very nice, but I don't want this thing to be part of me for the rest of my life. Very, very good point. And now, as I've said before, the fact that we can't discount life experience, we think, well, what we can do is we can turn all of our life experience into a positive thing. If you want to think of one positive, that could be that you have survived and you've got through the thing that you were facing. And so, you know, that shows that there's something about you that's pretty amazing. In fact, you probably didn't even realise that you were made of this stuff until you went through this and thinking, wow, I got through that. So if you have got something through something recently, well done, fantastic, absolutely amazing for you to do that. And, you know, even though you may not tell anybody what you've been going through, just know from a guy that's been on this side and actually has shared with many people's stories, and also going through a bit of stuff myself, just knowing how rewarding it can be, knowing that you've kind of survived the thing. Now, I've mentioned a little bit before this concept of where can we put our loss when grief has dealt with it. So if it's part of our life experience, we'll think, well, yes, okay, I need to walk forward with this thing, but I need to walk forward with it not being such a big deal in my life. Well, I believe there's a way we can do that. Because grief has interacted with it, we can, in a sense, if you imagine yourself standing on a road, and next to your road is a suitcase. Now, the suitcase is open, and the loss beckons you to put it inside the suitcase and for you to close the suitcase. Now, what are suitcases designed to do? First of all, they're designed to be carried, well, in this case, wheeled around. You don't tend to carry suitcases anymore, you tend to wheel them around. And the second thing is that they're designed to go on travels with us. So wherever our travels go, our suitcase goes as well. In fact, we've got to pack it in such a way that when we get to the other side, we're going to have all the stuff we need, just enough, but we often pack too much stuff, you know, just the way things are. But, you know, the thing about loss and grief is that the grief has interacted with the loss, it's taking you along with it, and that loss is now lighter than it was. So you can put it in your suitcase and you can wheel it with you along the road. But it's really, really light though, right? It's really, really light. Why is it light? Because grief has dealt with it. So therefore, it just becomes a gentle part of your life experience. And certainly because you have dealt with it, you can use that to your advantage going forward. And there's to take out the positives that were in that experience and carry them forward with you. If you think, say, for instance, of a job that you've lost, perhaps you got fired from it even, and you know, there were some good things in that job while you were there. You know, you did make a contribution and you did make a difference. So those are those sort of things you can put on your resume, and those sort of things you can add to your learning to think, well, you know, it wasn't all good, but this part of it was good, and I'm going to take that part with me and put it in my suitcase. So that way we can deal not only with the loss and all the stuff that goes with it, but we can also, as 5 say, keep on moving through it. Of course, the good thing about keeping on moving is that we never stand still. We look at ways that we can move forward in a way that's going to be helpful and healthy and to minimise those triggers going forward. So if you're in a loss situation right now, you're thinking, oh man, it's all right for you to Trevor to talk about this stuff, but you don't know my story. Yeah, you're right. I don't know your story. But your story is important and significant, and it's part of who you are now. So work out what you can take forward from it and let grief do what grief needs to do with it, and you will have your own suitcase going forward. You know, and the great thing about this suitcase is it kind of gradually expands over time. And if another loss comes along, well, you kind of know the process, and you put the thing in the suitcase with the other one. Not that grief is a process, mind you. Grief is a thing. It's just this big, fluffy, fluid thing that we just go through. So, so if you have been through stuff of late, let grief do what it needs to do. Feel the sadness, feel the anger, feel the disappointment, all of the stuff that goes along with that, and you'll come out the other side a better person. Surviving, which is really great. And if I could talk to you right through now and say, you're a survivor and you'll get through this thing, you really will. So trust that will be an encouragement for you today. Well, let's get on to the clip. So we do have Keep On Moving, again off the Invincible album from 1999. We have a live version. Now this song, by the way, went to #1 in the UK, which is pretty cool. And so it should, because it was such a good song, this one. We've got a live version. Here we get to see the guys in their black and their capes and their coats and the whole thing, and just how crazy the fans are for these 5 guys. They really just get carried along for the ride. And so we've got an incredible live version of Keep On Moving. Some nice words said at the start too. We've also got the official clip, which is your typical 1990s boy band clip. So we've got that one is there, but they do paint quite a compelling story for this song. We then also got When the Lights Go Out. This came off from the album 5 in 1998. This is the official clip on this one. This is probably the first song that I heard 5 sing, but it was certainly Keep On Moving that brought these guys to my attention. So we got When the Lights Got Out. This is a pretty successful song for them off their first album. We then got a Queen, called the iconic band Queen, and one of their songs where it goes, you know that one? We will rock you. Now, if you've seen Bohemian Rhapsody, you know that it was Brian May that said, hey, let's give our fans a part to play in this song. And so we've got the iconic move that audience have just gone into ever since. And it was certainly part of the iconic 1985 Live Aid performance, which is considered one of the best performances of all time. Well, 5 came out and did their own version, again very rhythmical, but they filled it out just a little bit more with more guitars and more strings and synths and everything else, just to fill it out a little bit more. And apparently on the original recording, both Brian May and Roger Taylor were part of that recording. So this song was very and truly done with their blessing. And given these guys from the UK, they would have grown up knowing Queen. That is for sure, because you cannot be in the UK and not know Queen. And so, it's only a matter of time before someone else is going to come out and do a version of that song as well. So the links to those 4 songs, those 4 versions are in the description below. That's where you'll always find my links, and I've also included my last video on Australian Crawl. So if you want to recap on them, feel free. Well, if you come back for another video, or this is your first time, the Life Reflections Through Music, welcome to everybody, and thank you very much for hanging around. Well, that's it for today. Next time we're going to go on to 5 for Fighting. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.